From my personal experience, some of the hardest whiskeys in the Springbank portfolio to actually find on a shelf have been the Hazelburn Sherry Wood Series releases. I've yet to find one myself. I don't actually own a single one. What really kicks in the FOMO, the fear of missing out, is hearing talk that these releases are the very best that Hazelburn has to offer. But I wonder, how do you prefer your Hazelburn whiskey? As someone who loves the lighter, more spirit-forward ex-bourbon side of the Hazelburn 10-year-old, that made me wonder if you would still find the Hazelburn character and DNA buried underneath all of that sherry that's in these sherry wood releases. And does the spirit character even really matter that much if it still tastes great? Today, I'm gonna taste and review the 7th release in this series, the Hazelburn 15-year-old Oloroso Cask 2023. My name is Matt, this is Whiskey on the West Coast. As we've covered in past Hazelburn reviews, the un-peated triple distilled single malt whiskey from the Springbank distillery derives its name from one of the many lost distilleries of Campbeltown, the Hazelburn distillery, which closed in 1925. You can actually still see the skeletal remains of the distillery's warehouse just off of Longrow and Lock End Street in Campbelltown. Now, to my knowledge, this is the 7th release in the Hazelburn Sherry Wood Series, and it's tied with the 2022 Hazelburn Oloroso Cask matured 15-year-old as the oldest so far. Okay, the vital stats on the Hazelburn 15-year-old Oloroso Cask matured 2023 edition of this triple distilled single malt from Springbank are that it is, again, 15 years old, it's 55.8% ABV, it's non-chill filtered, it's natural color, it is 100% Oloroso Sherry cask matured, and for the price, it retails for around $160 Canadian or 72 pounds if you're in the UK. But on secondary, it's running $350 Canadian or more here in Canada. And this stands as a stark contrast to the 100% ex-bourbon Hazelburn 10-year-old that I'm used to drinking from my shelf. All right, let's get to the nose on here. So right away, oh man, funky, tart, sour sherry, along with like a sour green like Granny Smith apple, but it's a whiny nose. Raisin and like sticky syrupy raisin. It's so sherried, but there is still like a coastal, like almost salty element of the DNA that's coming through, which is really exciting to pick up, because I was speculating on how much of that Hazelburn DNA will cut through these sherry casks, as well as being like kind of sticky sweet on the nose. It's also savory. There's also something like umami going on here, teriyaki, sour plum, fig, coffee, like cold coffee dregs. Yeah, there's an earthy sherry element to this. It reminds me of like the Edredauer Signatory 10-year-old 46% ABV bottlings, if you're familiar with those. It's that same sort of like complex, like almost like tough to crack, earthy type of sherry. Real interesting here. Yeah, I'd say there's enough chocolate on here with all those coffee notes, like a bitter coffee note, but more of a sweet chocolate note. There's like a good, like kind of like mocha thing going on here. Yeah, sweet, funky, fruity nose. And okay, a Canadian tasting note here. I'm getting really excited about, like a coffee crisp chocolate bar. If you know coffee crisp, totally, it's coffee crisp on the nose. Oh, that's cool. Now I really wish I had a bottle of this. All right, moving on to the palate. Coffee, mocha, superbly sticky, sweet, sherried whiskey, chocolate again, but the palate is still like a creamy, delectable palate. And that creaminess, I oftentimes find that on the Hazelburn 10 as well, but it's usually more of like a buttery sort of creaminess. Man, okay, this is again going savory too here on the finish. Oh man, still a touch salty as well. There's the Campbeltown funk, metric ton of raisins, dark fruits, dried fruit, but honestly, I'm not going to say dried fruit. It's just those dark fruits. It's like stewed, funky, dark fruits. That Campbeltown funk is for sure there. The saltiness comes through. So there's complex, obvious, like Springbank, Hazelburn DNA on here. Honestly, if you've had some of those like really heavily sherried 2022 or 2023 Springbank 15s, this is like those 15s, but at cask strength and without the peat. Yeah, I mean, if you remove those elements, it'd be like a dead ringer for that style of Campbeltown whiskey. Man, oh man, okay, one more sip. The umami style kind of like savoriness still there. All that wonderful sweet sherry. This is the type of sherry that you hunt for, really. Gosh, this is good. On the finish, as I'm experiencing right now, it's long. It's so long on leather, funk, and dark fruits, and sweets. This is a sweet tooth's delight for sure. That is one hell of a Hazelburn. So is this my favorite Hazelburn so far? Yes, but with a caveat. It's actually tied for my favorite Hazelburn so far with the Hazelburn 2023 Open Day 14-year-old Oloroso Cask release. And so that means that this Hazelburn 15-year-old Oloroso Sherry is actually my favorite of the broader released Hazelburns, because that other one I tried while I was in Campbeltown while visiting Springbank, and it was something else, but it wasn't broadly distributed. So this is tied for it, and you might as well say it's my favorite Hazelburn that is actually acquirable, that you can actually buy. That said, again, you'd have to do it likely on secondary by this point. How does it compare to other releases in the Hazelburn Sherry Wood series? Well, I haven't had too many others. I've had, I think, 2 others. I have a sample on my shelf of 1 more that I have to get to. But honestly, my recollections of those, I don't actually even remember exactly which Hazelburn Sherry Wood series those were. Whereas I feel like this one's going to leave an indelible imprint, a mark on my brain of, oh my goodness, that Hazelburn was so good. So I've been blown away by this Hazelburn 15 Oloroso cask. Now, which is my preferred Hazelburn style? Is it this sherried style? Is it the ex-bourbon style? I like my ex-bourbon Hazelburn a lot. But this is another animal. This is something completely different. The Hazelburn DNA is still present, but in an incredible, delicious, yet like sweet yet savory way. I'm adoring this whiskey. I really am. Should you buy this at MSRP? Yes. Unless you hate sherry or you hate yourself. Just a joke, guys, but seriously, if you like sherried whiskeys and you see this on a shelf for a reasonable price, there's no reason not to buy it. Should you buy this at secondary? I would honestly consider it up until a point. It's price dependent, but if I saw this for $300 on secondary, maybe even $325, I'd really have to give it a long thought and might wind up purchasing it. It really has been that good. I'm really sad that I didn't get a bottle of this, but such is whiskey, such is life. If I had to give this a score, I'm going to give this probably a 90 out of 100, which is an unreal score for a whiskey. 90 out of 100 is what the Hazelburn 15 Oloroso cask gets. Did you get to try this whiskey? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on Hazelburn. If you've had this, if you liked it as much as I have. There's been a lot of buzz on this bottle, and I can see why. I really can. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for all the comments. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking and sharing this video. And thank you to my Patreon subscribers. As always, guys, I really appreciate all the support that you give me by supporting me in that way. I hope to bring you guys more Springbank, Hazelburn, Longrow videos in the near future. But until the next time, from the West Coast, Slange.